So this is one of those places where there's probably going to be some people with pretty strong opinions. What I want to talk about here is safe spaces. Safe spaces have become a thing of scorn. Many people are ready to mock them without provocation, and they'll often act like they're doing the world a favor by denouncing them. Needing one can be seen as being excessively weak, even perhaps to the point of being infantile. Sometimes, announcements of a location being intended for robust debate, an area with no punches pulled, if you will, occur by decrying that it is not a safe space. The phrase is commonly heard and people seem to think they know what it means, but the reality behind it usually seems to be missed. Safe spaces have been around for decades, going back to possibly even before the first wave of feminism. A mindhacks.com article attributes it to corporate America, where it was allegedly used to allow people to voice concerns without worrying about being torn down for it. Whether this is true or not, it was definitely used by the time of the initial feminism. There, it was a place for women to gather and discuss and plan. It was, basically, a place these women could speak freely. But, wait, that doesn't seem at all like what we hear now, does it? Perhaps this would be a good time to define our terms. What is a safe space, ultimately? Advocates for Youth defines it like this, quote, "A place where anyone can relax and be fully self-expressed, without fear of being made to feel uncomfortable, unwelcome, or unsafe on account of biological sex, race/ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, cultural background, age, or physical or mental ability. A place where the rules guard each person's self-respect and dignity and strongly encourage everyone to respect others." End quote. It's one of those things that it really sounds good right there. I mean, we probably all would like everybody to feel comfortable talking and expressing themselves. But it also sounds pretty impossible to achieve, since it seems like a place that would have to achieve that for every single person at once, even people who would not be able to express themselves without causing those problems for somebody else. So let's see if there are any other definitions for the term. A Google search reveals this definition, quote, "A place or environment in which a person or category of people can feel confident that they will not be exposed to discrimination, criticism, harassment, or any other emotional or physical harm." End quote. And that's a pretty drastically different definition. We could argue over definitions of criticism, but other than that, this doesn't seem that bad either, and it seems like something pretty simple to do. And in fact, every club or organization for a particular group, every therapist office, every doctor's office, and countless other types of places would fit this definition. They have to. If you can't feel confident in that when you're talking to your doctor, how likely are you to relay some potentially crucial but embarrassing information? The same kind of thing goes for a therapist. Let's look and see if there are more. These two seem to have some pretty drastic differences. I'm not even sure if I could form a good idea of what they have in common right now. So let's see. Merriam-Webster defines it as, quote, "A place, as on a college campus, intending to be free of bias, conflict, criticism, or potentially threatening actions, ideas, or conversations." End quote. Oxford looks to be where Google got its definition. So what it seems, to me at least, these definitions have in common is this. It's supposed to be a non-threatening place where someone can express themselves without the harsher reactions that might be common in the wider world. Despite the first definition, it doesn't appear that such a place needs to be safe in this sense for everybody all at once. While there is some concerning language, such as the elimination of criticism or the vagueness of an idea or conversation being potentially threatening, the definitions also don't actually prevent any disagreements either. Honestly, I've looked this up before. You see, I'd fallen for the straw man of these spaces being a place for someone to just hide from the world. The short time I actually attended a college, I didn't really recall hearing the term used much. So when people on the internet started freaking out about the term, I was unfamiliar with it. They had a blank slate. When all they showed me was the extreme form that they wanted to criticize, that's all I really knew of as this as well. It wasn't until more recently, talking to people who were more moderate or could be even labeled as SJWs, that I learned that there was much more to this concept. It was actually shocking and infuriating at first, realizing that some of this may be aimed at things I actually need, and that even more may be inadvertently used to fight the same. I've been looking into it periodically since, and I've noticed that the definitions seem to be shifting in some places. There are more definitions, including the more colloquial use of the phrase as basically an echo chamber or somewhere that somebody can go to hide from conflicting ideas. So, what happened? Well, I'm not entirely sure. I could find plenty of places that would proclaim that those damn kids these days, aka millennials or college students, demanded safe places from ideas they don't like. I can find plenty that never even touch on the term before the shift started. I can even find a few that claim it is simply the inevitable consequences of creating such spaces. Hell, the idea even exists that the very name makes a culture of trying to avoid everything inevitable, and that if one space is safe, that must mean that all the others are unsafe. Honestly, though, I don't entirely buy that this is it. Mostly it's that I think that it's missing a big part of the picture, one that many might hesitate to admit or regularly underestimate. That is, what happens on the internet, and to some degree, other media as well. As I said, initially I wasn't familiar with the term. I would venture to guess that there's a lot of other people in the population here that weren't either. This seems like it would hold especially true in more conservative areas of the country which wouldn't necessarily have been discussing it until the criticism started. I don't know if it's the same in other places like Europe and Canada because I've never been there. I can't even really speak about areas toward the coasts, or especially areas like New York or California. They may have had people who were more familiar with it at the time. But what I do know is that, through a failure to acknowledge the more moderate concept or specify the subgroup of safe spaces, I became convinced that the extreme and the ridiculous examples were the entire thing. Of course, that makes me wonder how many others did as well, which I think is part of why the definitions are changing. I think part of it is because people didn't even realize what those words described. And maybe it's a good thing that the words are changing. I mean, it'll likely cause us to need a new word for some of the other places, but maybe this shift will result in letting spaces be when they don't meet the more extreme and absurd definitions. Then again, it might not. After all, I have actually had people mock the idea of a therapist helping someone feel safe before trying to address certain problems. Thanks for hearing me out. As always, civil discussions, suggestions, and constructive criticism are welcome in the comments or via social media. Feel free to rate, comment, and share. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe and click the bell for notifications. Stick around through the credits for a link to another video, or check out the description for any sources that I used.